How y'all doing? Welcome back to this week's episode of Hypothetically Speaking with my co-host, Mr. Marcus Bentley. How's it going today, Mr. Marcus?
Blessed, man, as always, bro. Blessed. Chilling out here.
That's good. That's good. So today we're gonna jump into the topic of families in the Black community and what can we do to improve that. We're gonna dabble into a few different topics about it, and today we got a special guest. We have Miss Tiffany Hamilton. Give me just a second. We're gonna get on the line. But yeah, we got Miss Tiffany. We're gonna give her a minute to get on. So what's going on with you this week, Marcus? What you got going on this weekend?
I'm chilling, man. I'm blessed. Just chilling out here, man. Trying to stay out of it. Wearing my mask and washing my hands out here in the streets.
Got to. I don't think people, even myself included, realize how much that we don't we took for granted, being sanitary. I think we took for granted being sanitary. It just you'll do something and not think twice about it. Nah, every time you be, let me grab my mask or let me wash my hands.
Yeah.
No, another crazy thing about this pandemic, man. I be watching like old clips and old videos, and first thing pop in my mind, they ain't got their mask on. I didn't that was pre-corona.
Yeah. Out here, gonna turn the Batman out here, bro. We gotta stop to get our mask.
But yeah.
Stop to get the mask. Every 5 minutes. Stop to get the mask.
So one of the questions that we did have, I'm gonna try to jump into it, wait for Miss Tiffany to get on board. But Marcus presented a fact to me the other day that he said that 70% of Black children are being raised by a single parent. That's a tough number. That's a very high number.
Yeah. So back in the one of my favorite writers, man, his name is Thomas Sowell. Thomas spelled, Thomas. Sowell, Sowell. He was following something called the Moynihan Report, and this is in the 60s. And he was talking about how it was such a big deal, but then it was like 30%. Now it's at 70, more than double. That same rate. And he was hollering back in the 60s that, hey, man, this is probably an issue. And, I'm saying that was one of his main things was like, hey, we got to figure out a way to stop, that situation in the Black community especially. But this man was white. So obviously, he was, not taking like, oh, man, you don't know. And Thomas Sowell, he's African American. So it was like, I don't know, he's trying to be whatever. But the thing is, bro, that's a big deal. A lot of people that are making lots of money, that's a big deal, man. Having a family structure. So that's one of my main things.
Yeah, I think a lot of people we don't process the information fully. There's a lot of things, no disrespect to my mom, but I couldn't have learned from my dad. And I'm pretty sure it's things that my sisters couldn't have learned from my mom. Learned from my dad. So the qualities and characteristics that build you up. One, before we get into that, that just makes the job so less stressful when you got two in a job. Whether it's hanging a picture. Hanging a picture is twice as easy with two people. Or doing whatever. And so for me, I think if you got two parents together, that makes the load easier. And it's two different perspectives that you can look at. That's one. And then two, is a man can raise a female, but a man can't raise a woman. No disrespect to any man that's raising his daughter. But it's certain things a man just ain't gonna be able to teach a woman. And here we go. We got Miss Tiffany. Let's go and add her to the group and we'll fill in on what we're gonna start it on. What's going on, Miss Tiffany? Hey, hello? Yes. give it a second, see if she can get connected. What's going on, young lady? How you doing today, man? Can you turn your volume on for me? Can you hear us? We can't hear you. Can you turn your mic on? Let me
Bottom
see.
left. Just on the bottom left.
Yeah,
It just a call over the internet.
so what's that, Marcus?
No, I'm saying that's where the unmute button is. To the left.
Okay. Can you hear us now?
I can hear you now.
There we go. What's
Hi.
happening, Gilbert?
What's going on? You doing all right today?
I'm okay.
That's what's up. Welcome to the show.
Okay.
So we discussed earlier the topic that we want to discuss today. So me and Marcus was just talking about the 70th percentile. So we're gonna let you speak, let you go into the topics about the black family, black community that you was that we discussed earlier, and we'll let you speak your piece. You ready?
No.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna say this part right here, right?
Go ahead.
So I personally believe that is a big issue, but in this right here, there is no unlike most interviews or whatever you would call it, there is no like, hey, you're gonna answer my question and that's it. If you think that it's something different, then that's just what it is. I happen to believe that because that percentage is so high, of people not being married or together in the same household, then I think that's a big issue. So,
I'm gonna need you to repeat that last part. It was a train. I couldn't hear over the train or the horn.
I'm sorry.
no, that's fine. No, just whatever you think the issue is, then hypothetically speaking, if you were in a position, what do you think those things would be to work on? If it's not that 70%.
Okay.
As a black female, what do you think that those things are?
Well,
Or just as an American, whatever.
okay.
Why do you think the marriage rate? I mean, the co-parenting rate is so high, so low in America? Let's put it that way.
Um, Basically because from my opinion and from my experience of being a single parent, a single black parent, it's a lot of confliction. Co-parenting takes a lot of will and understanding. And different households raise their kids differently. You know what I'm saying? Like, I use a personal example.
Don't
Okay,
be too personal. Don't be too
say
personal
like,
now.
Yeah.
hush, Marcus.
All right.
I'll say like, well, actually, people can relate. Other mothers can relate, single or not. But like with this pandemic, being a single parent is kind of hard with the virtual learning and working and having to decide to send the kids back to school. You know, we've kind of lost the village. I feel like the village is becoming extinct. We I was raised up on it takes a village to raise a child. Even with the facts of me having a co-parent in a single parent household, which is me by myself, I have that village. I have a lot of support, but I know of people that don't have that support. And like with this pandemic, I know this girl, she can't, she can't do homeschooling because she has to work.
Right.
And yes, and because she is a single parent, her concerns is what's going to happen to my kids when I send them back to school, and she feels bad because she has to send them back to school, you know. And I was telling her, I was giving her some ideas of some things that I had, some choices that I had to make as well, with that, because I myself had to go back to work, and, with childcare being closed and all of that stuff, it was kind of hard. But with the help from the village, which is mainly my family members, I was able to, make the decision of sending them back to school, but I actually also having help from the village to do virtual learning as well, you know, and it coincides with my job and it worked out for me. But the thing is, I'm kind of conflicted with my words too. A little nervous.
That's
It's all
fine.
right. So here, take your
I
time.
am.
Yeah.
Let's say,
So how you fix that though? That's my question.
how did I fix it? How do we
I,
fix it?
How,
yeah.
how do you fix that in general? Because I mean, I understand what you're saying, and it's perfectly like that's totally understandable. It sounds it's extremely stressful. I understand that. So how do you fix that? If you were to give a speech to a room full of young girls about just your experience, how would you say you rectify that issue going forward? Because that's honestly my thing. I know how you speak, and the
Tap
thing is,
into those resources.
okay, there we
Tapping
go.
into Tap into those resources that are given. There are a lot of resources that are given. Some of them are kind of what you say underlying. You have to go and look for them. They're not going to be right there in fine print where you see, hey, come and I got this for you to do. You have to find those resources. That's an important thing, because there are resources for single parents, with the virtual learning and the schooling, and not just that, child care. And you know, the village support. Don't be afraid to ask for help. That's a big issue. Pride, being afraid to ask for help. And nobody's perfect, and we all make mistakes. And a lot of the young generation, and even our generation, you know they're so afraid of what people might think, because you ask for help. That's almost like some people scared to raise their hand in class because they're going to get picked at or something like that. Don't be afraid to tap into those resources. The village. Don't be afraid to call the father. Don't be afraid to call the mother. And even if you're not, let's say, even if that child is not even in your household, it will be a big help to stay communicating as parents. Keep that communication open. It's all a part of the co-parenting, but keep that communication open and honest, because that's a big issue. Though that child, you never know what that child is feeling, man. You have to ask them questions. You have to, man. It's a lot.
So I got a question too. I know I'm taking over all the questions, but okay. So
No, that's fine.
why isn't, in your opinion, why isn't marriage looked at as a like, hey, this is something we should be going towards, instead of simply like, hey, um, just casually date? Because in my opinion, an emphasis on marriage, on dating for marriage, would produce, not necessarily, if you get into a bad situation, you got to get out of it. It used to be, people were in marriages getting beat on, and then they stay there because they couldn't afford it. I'm not saying something like that, but I do know that as far as the numbers are concerned, that generally speaking, people who are married tend to be better. Perfect example is like, let's say during the pandemic, um, you know, one of you, both, let's say both of you lose your job. There's a chance one of you could actually stay home and the other one could go look for two, three jobs. Whereas if it's just you, it's hard to go get that because now you got to find out who's gonna watch your kids while you're at work. You see what
Right.
I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. I mean, even if it's dating and you're not together, you're just dating for the purpose of marriage. Why is it marriage is not seen as like, hey, that's what we should be going towards instead of just like
Times
simply,
has changed. Like, you don't see, like the village. You don't see that village anymore. You don't see a man. You don't you see it, but it's becoming rare. Sad, but in my opinion, it's becoming a little rare. Like marriage, people are not marrying for the values, and everybody values and mores are different, but they're not marrying for the good things. It's almost like marriage has become marriage for material things, and it's not in concern as to make a family. It's to more of a show.
More to
Come
It,
up.
survive.
yeah, exactly. Like
No,
right, like this man can contribute this, so I'm gonna marry him because it's gonna make me blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? Or it's gonna open this door and that door. True, but it's just not as important anymore as it should be, because that would be a factor in making that 70% lower. It would contribute to that percentage. It would help a tremendous, you know, a lot, because it takes away the single parent home. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm
Marriage.
gonna make I'm gonna make a confession, right? You probably should never do this. You probably should never make this confession as somebody that's on a talk show or a podcast. I have absolutely no idea how you fix that number though, because I I just don't know how you fix that number other than community by community. I don't have any idea because I put that. Hey, listen, is it the job of the pastors in the community? Is it the job of the political leaders? Is it the religious leaders in the
it's
community? I don't know who it is. I don't know who you put that on. That's what I'm. What you say, bro?
you. I would say we have to put it on us.
Right.
Um, you have to put it on us. This is my personal opinion. Systematically, I think the family was broken up, and we got comfortable. We got comfortable with, like I said, don't get it twisted. Like we always say, it's nothing personal, but it is a huge amount of people that live off government assistance, and they're cool with that. And there's nothing wrong with if you really need it, but people become comfortable. That becomes a lifestyle. So systematically, we have become comfortable with living at the bottom, and so we're living at the bottom. We're living off the government. That's telling the family apart because you can't have a family in the bricks. If I'm working, my wife's working, we can't live in the bricks. But so people get comfortable with living in the bricks. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But systematically, that causes a divide. Um, just take this note. How many people do y'all actually know that stays in government assistance that's married?
Not too
I
many.
know.
You have some that stay there, but the government doesn't know. That it's a two-parent home, not being a dry snitch. You know what I'm saying? But that's exactly what it is. Like, you have people that do live together, married in a project house, and my thing was with that, because I've lived in government apartments, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it because of that. It was let's say, it was almost like I was living with people that I didn't know. Almost like,
You like to stand in your mama's house. You gotta
yeah, because you raising your kids around these other people, and y'all so close knit and together, and these kids are picking up on these things other families are going through. You know what I'm saying? And picking up on other things that they see within that small community. The project is just like a little small community, and those kids pick up on those things, and like it man, it's almost
Yeah. So
it's
the
the
thing
divide.
is,
It's the
you
divide.
can't you can't even get better because the moment, I mean, immediately once you start to get better, they're gonna take that assistance away from you. The thing is though, my thing is this right here though. I believe that you should because once you do that, people will be forced to do that. And the thing is, this speech that I'm speaking, so unfortunately for most people, they don't even know about me. I don't get into any religious or political debate. I believe that both of them divide us tremendously. They take us away from the solutions and they back us into corners that say, you either with me or against me. And my thing is, most solutions are found in the middle of anything. They're not found on the edges. Most solutions are found in the middle. Anyway, I totally believe that if you're going to do that, which is what this guy Thomas Sowell was always saying, he's the same one that was preaching about, hey man, this percentage of non-married people is high, and the reason why is because you you inadvertently force the male out of the house when you say we will substantiate what he brings with with money, but you can't bring in, you can't substitute what a man or a male or female brings into a child's life with just money.
You
And
cannot.
that's the thing, you cannot do that. And so what the thing is what they're saying is well, even though he's not there, we're going to help you pay all this stuff. The thing is I would rather them figure out how to go get him. Listen, I never tell all my business, but I pay child support for two of my children. The thing is, the courts never had to make me do it. I went there myself with her. You can ask her. People that know her, hopefully they don't, go do some searching. But if you want to be nosy and go look and ask her, because you might find out who she is, go ask her. I went there with her. I didn't wait for the courts to come get me and figure out what to do. No, me and her went together because I knew that once I, get the child support for as much as I could, she could live somewhere better than other places because that child support counted as income.
Um,
So not only was it her income that the support counted as income. So the thing is, I knew she would live somewhere better than where. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, man, your kids live in it. I'm not going to have my children living in, some place where I feel it's dangerous. So that's my thing, man. Even though, so totally off subject. I know I'm rambling, but I am too part of the 70%.
Yes.
Uh, most people give speeches and they give these speeches from these high places. I did not do that. I give
um,
speeches from the place that I am.
I
Go ahead.
think, um, I think I think another problem is I'm with my girl. We have a baby. We break up. A lot of people are selfish to the point they're like, well, that's on them. No, that's still your kid. So even if you're not married or together, you still can co-parent. Um, but I think a huge problem with that is with the co-parenting part is emotions involved, and our community has this idea that is only two types of co-parenting. Either we supposed to hate each other or we still messing around. Like that's
Right.
that's the that's
Right. Right. Yes.
that's the truth. So therefore
Right.
that causes so you have a new female, not all of them, because there is some females that you like, oh, I want you to be a part of your kid life. They're gonna be woman enough and go talk to the mother, or the dude gonna be man enough to go talk to the new dad. I mean to the dad. But in most cases, it causes a rift because oh, you still messing with your baby mama, you still messing with your baby daddy, and now he, which is not right, he is forced to say, you know what? Now I pretty much got to choose between my kid and my new relationship. But because, or whoever, and now because they're forced to make a choice, they were like, well, I can't be with my baby dad and my baby mama because they don't fool me like that no more. I'm gonna be with my new baby, and I'm gonna just kind of be distant from my kids. And I think that's one of the reasons we have a huge rip in the black
Bro,
community.
so I'm gonna be personal. I don't like other people tell their business, but I always tell mine. So, cause I'm crazy like that. Cause I don't tell business. So listen. My wife, right? Um, she initially there was an issue where it was like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? And the thing was, which she had an experience with her parents, that she actually apologized to me, and it was like, you know what though? I saw what happened initially when my mom and dad acted the way that I'm acting. And the reason why my life is successful as it is because my stepmom and my stepdad, well, my stepmom And my real mom, they got along, bro. And it was like, you know what? It's cool. Just because my mom came around, my stepmom used to be weird at first and be like, I don't want her around. But when she got, a little bit into it, it was like, you know what? No, she needs her mom here. And that's the thing, though. You shouldn't have to choose between, you know what? I don't want him going around his baby mama with his two kids. Just stay away. And I'm looking at her like, but these are my children. She had an angle lie. She had it for a couple of days, and then she was like, you know what, that was wrong with me. And I was like, you know what, that's grown, bro. My wife had a grown moment. You know, uh, like super grown. Because as a woman, if you see your man going over somebody else's house, it's immediately like, what are you? Whoa, what is this? But she looked at it as, you know what though, his son needs him there. His daughter needs him there. That is a huge deal, bro. Like I know you probably just spoke that as, whatever, but bro, that's actually enormous. Because even though that's into the 70%, like I was saying, I'm part of, that issue. The thing is, sometimes numbers do lie because they might not tell all the story, which is, we might be in a position where we're trying to figure out things ourselves, maybe too soon by having children, but at the same time, that a part of that percentage, I know because of me,
Your
is
wife's
working
growth
still in
moment,
the
your wife's growth moment that she had, that is the change. That is that small change to that 70%.
yeah.
It really, yes. That is how. That is how we all need those moments. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But that little bit that she did, and you realize that is that a part of that 70% as well. But that is the change that will change that 70%. We all need those growth moments. That is bringing back the village. That
Right,
was working. That was working with you and for both of you. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right,
No, that
quick.
was it.
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick break, and we will be right back.